Oilers Live Podcast. 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 Oilers Live Podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here with the Oilers Live podcast. Man, it's been a long time since I've been live. Hope there's some people out there that are still listening. Feels like forever since I've been able to talk a little bit of hockey. It's been an exciting season too, and I'm kind of sad that I haven't been around to enjoy this and have some commentary and some chats with fellow Oilers fans. So if you're out there and you're listening tonight, welcome. We're going to be hopefully get some folks in, and you can always call in. I see Mr. Dursa is there. If you want to call in, Mike, more than welcome to join me tonight. You can join me by Skype if you like, and leave the call in for those folks that want to call in. So if you do want to call in, the phone number is 587-907-5483. That's 587-907-LIVE. And would really love to have some folks join me. Chat some Oilers hockey. Big game, of course, tonight. Was pretty cool tonight that we had, Draisaitl with another 3 points. You got Stauffer out there tweeting how it's possible, and he's got a good point. Is Draisaitl the best player in the NHL today? We, we're last 4 games. We're 500 right now, so 2-2. Lots of people after the last game starting to panic, go a little bit crazy. I get that. I think that the Oilers. The only reason though that I put a little tweet out there that it's time to panic. Of course, I was being sarcastic. By the way, if anybody's on right now, it's been so long since I have streamed live that I'd like to know how the levels are. If you can hear me all right, or if you need, if I need to pump up the volume a little bit. I don't get all that feedback on here, so I can hear it through my headsets, but I can't. I have no idea how high the volume is. So maybe let's get some feedback on that, among other things. Anyway, back to Oilers Live, and back to the game, and the 2-2 over the last 4. I was after we lost that game, of course, to Florida. Everybody's on Mike Smith's case. He let in three? I was at that game, by the way. So he let in 3 goals and 3 shots at the beginning of the period. And if you saw him, he skated off gingerly after the first period. There was, he got one to the groin area where the sun doesn't shine, and skated off kind of gingerly. Came back out to start the period and didn't start so hot. I don't think all 3 goals were his fault, but certainly could have been there for 1 or 2 of them. I think when I look at this team though, and you knew Mike Smith would have a bad game. He had, and Koskinen's going to have a bad game. You know that the Oilers lack in secondary scoring. Nice to see Jujar get on the board today. But overall, I mean, we've got lots to be excited about with this Oilers team. We have got, for the first time, defense doing their thing. If you take out those 3 goals that were scored against Smith, I mean, we're not letting in a lot of goals, right? Gone are many of the 5-2, 6-2 games that we're, have become so accustomed to over time. And, it's just, it's different now, right? It's, I do have somebody saying they can't hear very well. Just hold on. Let me up the volume a little bit here. How's that now? Is that a little bit better? Let's just see. All right. How about now? Can you hear? Can you hear now? As I said, it's been a little bit of time since I've done the live stream, so not quite sure how the audio is going to be a little bit today. So anyway, let me know. We're just gonna wing this tonight. It's been a while, so I wanted to get back into the swing of it, get this season. We're already through October. It's been exciting. 9-4-1. Leon Draisaitl, of course, is winning the scoring race, which is incredible, all things considered. And the Oilers have become really a team that's not giving up on all of the terrible chances that they used to give up in years past, right? Like they are, for the most part, they're. Oh, hold on, Mr. Dursa, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you, Michael?
Good. So just talking about, and thanks for joining. What I'm going to do is I am going to get you in line here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there you are. All right. Welcome. 9-4-1. Oilers, first live stream of the year, end of October. Things are, I think, looking good for the most part, right? We've had, I think the odd game that I'd say has been maybe not as great as we'd like it to be. But you know what? I think half the problem is that we're expecting, when you start out undefeated like we did in 7, I think your expectations get up there. And what we're forgetting is, and Holland said it early, is don't expect much from this team. So at 9-4-1, how you feeling?
Yeah, well, what a difference a day makes because, you look around after they drop a game against Detroit and the sky is falling and they're terrible and all of that noise. And, I think a big difference tonight is kind of the injection of Joel Pearson there to play with Clefbaum. I think Chris Russell on his wrong side is a move that doesn't need to be made anymore. I think that was proven that it's not the right thing to do. I guess we do that when we have to, but not because we should.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things we have to think, right, is and we can talk about this game and talk about all the things that we should be doing. But this team also is without, arguably one of our top defensemen in Larson, right? They give up one goal tonight against a team that I think can score, more than one on any given night. And the chances that Columbus did get tonight, I thought were largely from a lot of weird bounces, if you will. And I thought the defense played well. There's that. I just when I look at this team, I think everybody keeps going on and on about secondary scoring, right? And we got that from Jujar today. And I'm not going to get too excited that one game, which you hear too many on these broadcasts now, right? One game, a guy like Jujar scores, and then all of a sudden, secondary scoring's all cleared up, team's all good to go. That's not what I'm saying. It was good to see him score. We need more of that. I thought that he played well with Nuge. Nuge played well 5-on-5 today, which was great. But good teams, they've got a top scoring line. They've got defense that's not leaking too many chances, and they've got decent goaltending. And then the really good teams have secondary scoring. So, I wouldn't put us in that elite category right now, but we're getting, 3 of the 4 areas, I think, right. One of the questions, I think it was our good friend SPR asked today, he did a poll, and you can find it let me just make sure I got this right. It's at Irish Eyes with a Z 41. And so his poll was, with the win, the Oilers currently sit all alone in first in the Western Conference with a 9-4-1 record and are on pace for 111 points this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. Question is, are they the worst 9-4-1 team of all time? Your choice of response is yes, they're overrated. No, they are good. Unsure, or sloppy joes? What's your thought?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I'd like to see who the competition is in that category, but oh man, you know what? You don't win games by accident. You have to go out there and do it. Does it mean they've played watered down competition? I mean that was the angle that people were trying to use against them. They did come back against a pretty strong Washington Capitals club not that long ago. To me, that was an impressive win. Oilers teams in the past, I mean, they would lose against teams they should probably beat and beat a few teams they should probably lose against. This feels a little bit different. There's a little bit of a different energy, and minus sort of the Detroit slide there, they're kind of taking care of the business they need to, So I don't know. I think it's happy where they are. I mean, yeah, if the secondary scoring eventually starts to come here, we could do some damage.
Well, I want to go back to this though, because there's a lot of people that would say they are the worst 9-4-1 team to ever be 9-4-1. I think that, what? I mean, Sean brings up something that, there's a lot of people out there thinking. At what point do we think they're real? I mean, and I try not to get too excited. And no doubt that I am a homer when it comes to the Oilers. I'm going to admit to that. But I'm a realist. When I did my season preview show, I actually suggested that they'd finish 10th in the conference, so I didn't take them for a playoff team, and there's still lots of season left. But as we know, I mean, every win that they get now puts them closer to that need for a 500 remainder of the season in order to eke out a playoff spot. I think that this team, right, like any team, right, is is you know how much I hate Calgary. Is Calgary the best 6-6-1 team that's ever played? I don't think they are, but I think they're probably straight where they're supposed to be. But Dallas, is Dallas the best team, you know, that has ever started at 5-8-1 ever, right? Like the same could be said of those guys sitting near the bottom. And yet, the only thing that really matters at the end of the year is is your point total. So, you know, back to what I was saying before, is this team's got they've got decent goaltending. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not sold on Koskinen and Smith just yet, but they've been playing well. They're not letting in the easy goals right now. Defense has been solid. Ethan Bear, you know,
It's been a revelation.
oh, he is he is amazing. And you know, I think the rest of the guys, I haven't this year sworn at Benning too often, but you know, Matt Benning, who you know was public enemy number one for me last season, and I thought should be off the team. Even for that matter, Brendan Manning got himself a goal and has looked, you know, reasonable for a third defensive pair. So defense has been all right. Is that Tippett's system? I think that probably has something to do with it. And then, you know, the thing we're missing, of course, is secondary scoring. At Stacy Lyles, CHM3 says Pittsburgh Saturday is huge. What's your take on the Pittsburgh game Saturday?
Well, I think when you play teams in your own conference, you know, they're 4-point swings. I think those are huge games, but I think that's another measuring stick game. It sounds like Malkin's going to be back, so you know, Malkin Crosby show and McDavid Draisaitl show. So we'll see, you know, if the new kids are going to dethrone the old boys or how this is going to go. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I've liked our goaltending this year. I think both Mikko and Smith have played really well. You kind of wonder if the one shoe's gonna drop here or not. But as long as they're going, you know, it definitely makes games more enjoyable to watch when you're in them.
Yeah, 100% enjoyable. Is there, outside of that Florida game, has there been a game that we haven't been a part of? And even, you know what, for that matter, that Florida game, when, you know, I was at the game, when it was 4-1, about 7 minutes left in the game, I turned behind me and there's, you know, hundreds of fans leaving the rink. And then Draisaitl scores that beauty pretty much right from the goal line. And then all of a sudden that wave of fans stops leaving. Everybody stays in their seats. It's 4-2. It's two goals left. I don't know how much time, maybe about 5 minutes. And, you know, these guys, Draisaitl and McDavid, make you believe. I mean, when you saw McDavid turn it up against Washington, he was on a level that, you know, is just unbelievable. Like, it's like he flipped a switch, and I've never seen a player play like that. I've seen Crosby do it a few times, but, you know, there's really only a handful of guys ever that can turn it up like that, McDavid being one, Draisaitl being the other. Absolutely unreal. You know, we've been in just about every game this year. You know, it's too bad we're letting that first goal in and trailing so many games. But you know what? You have these two players who, on SiriusXM, I tweeted that out earlier. It was yesterday morning. I'm listening to the NHL channel on Sirius, and Mike Johnson's talking about the Oilers and says the two best players in the world on the power play. And I stopped myself and I'm thinking, you know, like I've heard Mike Johnson a million times and I've heard him, you know, almost roast the Oilers a million times. And, you know, it's just like Wow, right? Finally, Draisaitl, who I think has been the most unheralded 50-goal scorer in the
Yeah.
history of the game, is finally getting some respect. Stacy Lyle says Pittsburgh Saturday is huge as a gauge of where we're at this point. I tend to agree with that. I think that's it's and hey, 10-4-1 sounds so much better than 9-5-1, doesn't it?
Yeah, just keep chipping away and making that gap, from 500 towards 750 winning percentage is pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we need at YAG Oilers fan, yo, yo, yo. Hey, you know what? It's good to be back live, right? And see some of some of the folks back on Twitter. And Mike, I'm glad that you called in. I just about midway through the second period, I thought, you know what? I should get on here, do a live stream. I haven't done one all season. In fact, the last live stream I did was 4 months ago, so I kind of had to do a little bit of relearning on how to set it up and make sure everything's running smoothly. And I set up the call in. If anybody wants to call in tonight, it's 587-907 live, and that's 587-907-5483. Join Mike and I to talk a little bit of Oilers hockey. We're going to be, I'm going to be on for probably till about 10:30, if I can last that long, in my old age. Let's, before we forget, Mike, what's the date of the Oilers Live Cup?
I believe that was February 29th.
Yeah, probably the earliest day easiest day to remember. So it's the leap year game this year, and we've got a committee set up, and we could use some extra help. If anybody wants to help out, you're more than welcome to reach out by DM, reach out to Mike, reach out to myself at Oilers Live. We'd love to have you help out. The donations this year are going to Heart and Stroke, right? Heart and Stroke Foundation. And we've got a couple of, I've been a little bit lax on getting it all set up so far, but we're going to get there. And I know, Mike, you and the gang have already started reaching out to different people to get some cool prizes, maybe do a silent auction, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there's some girls that are pretty ambitious as a part of our group there, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. So that's going to be a fun game, and I think we've got lots of different things planned, and it's going to be a lot of fun. At YEG Oilers fan says the Oilers haven't beaten the Penguins in the McDavid era yet. Is that true? We've got
I
to
would have to fact check that. I'm not sure.
You must be. I don't see any reason why you'd lie to us. I do remember, of course, the Crosby untying of the skates of Mr. Strome for the win in OT, which still, I mean, that was one of those plays where I really, you kind of take it for granted. We're watching McDavid all the time, just how good he is, and then Crosby comes into our barn and says, "Whoa, wait a second, I'm pretty damn close to being the best player in the world still." And I've always sort of maintained, I wouldn't argue with anybody if they wanted to say that Crosby was the best player, but obviously McDavid's earned that right over the last little while. Stacy asks, how do you guys think Persson was today? Your thoughts, Mike?
I've got a bit of a confession to make.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't watch the game.
I saw parts of it on my phone because I was taking a vehicle to get some repair work done. So yeah.
Wow.
Mike missed most of tonight's game.
Wow. I just
terrible.
about hit the hang up button there, but I'll keep you on.
You're out of here.
You're out. Done. Well, okay. So my thoughts and YEG Oilers fan says noticed the puck moving ability right away. Absolutely. He got well, it was only a couple minutes in, if that. He hit one, rung one off the post. Looked really good, actually, for a guy that hasn't played. How many games since he's played? It's got to be almost 6, right?
Yeah, I would think it's in that neighborhood. Yeah.
And then so I don't know what game this was for him. Better check that stat out. I think about that. Like he's not. It's not like he's coming into the game and having played even 10 games in the league. I thought he was doing really well. He didn't look out of place out there. I'm looking right now. He's played 6 games. Which is great. Also, you might want to head over to NHL.com, the stats page. They have now updated it, and our own Leon Draisaitl sits atop the league with 25 points. Also sits atop the league with 12 goals tonight. So, did you get to at least see the highlight package before we start talking goals and highlights? Did you see the highlight package?
Yeah, I saw Leon got a pair and Neil and Jujar. I saw Jujar's goal.
Yeah, you know what? I thought, and it's too bad you didn't see because I thought Jujar played reasonably well tonight. He had one where he did a little inside out, got a shot on net, tricky save. I thought that was right. What's your thought? I mean, when I started the podcast, right, was and Twitter's still very much like this, but there were 2 folks on Oilers Twitter. There were the stats guys and then the anti-stats guys, and I think that's kind of gone away a little bit in recent years. That was only 3 years ago, but there's not so many anti-stats folks as there were, or maybe it's the fact that the stats guys aren't just touting stats alone anymore, because there used to be really 2 major contributors to that fight, and they were both hard on one side. Most of, if not all of the Oilers stats, everybody would say will regress over the course of the year. Which do you think? Do you have an idea in your head as to which one we should be most worried about?
Are you talking about the Inferno power play, James Neal's shooting percentage? Where are we going here?
Well, all of them. Like, what's the one that you think we should be most worried about?
Well, I don't think the power play is going to maintain. We probably already dropped off a bit, but we were on, I think, a 40% cash in kind of rate. That's not going to continue. That's going to tail off, probably end up around 20% somewhere in that ballpark. But I think if we're in the top 5 in the league in power play, and we can, the other revelation that's happened, and I think it's maintainable, but it's really kind of been a key to some of our success, is penalty killing has been unreal. Are we going to see a slide from Mikko and Mike Smith from what they're doing? I don't know. I really like the balance here. Like, they're not getting taxied. I mean, what's the most they've played in a row?
2 games. Yeah. It's been standard 2-2-2. Yeah.
So they're going to stay fresh. I mean, if that can continue, as long as they don't get injured. And I was worried that Mike Smith, I thought at first, I thought he pulled his groin. I thought it was from a push across. I didn't realize he took a shot, close to the Twins or whatever.
No, it was very close.
So it was good. It's good. He's he was back. He played solid tonight, and when he isn't too frisky in the net, he's doing his job. I mean, I was at the Kings game, and he was pretty adventurous. He turned a blowout into a close game. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is and I go back to and I was I was as critical on Holland when he signed Smith as anybody, at least for the first week. And then I went back into my own tweets. I went back into my own history, and I went through how incredible I thought he played in the playoffs, and he was easily the Flames' best player in the
Oh, far and
playoffs.
away, far and away. Yeah.
And and I thought, well, that can't be bad, right? I mean, and the one thing that I always and even if I go back and I think back to everything that I always argued with everybody about when it came to Mike Smith was he's fine if he's not playing 60 games a year, right? And so if you can give him a couple games off and put him in, he can be stellar. And I don't know. Did you see the pass he made tonight?
Yeah, I started the breakout again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, he doesn't get a point on that. Without that pass, and there's only a handful of goalies in the league that can make that pass to McDavid's tape. McDavid at the line to Draisaitl to Neal, who's been all money this year, puts it in the back of the net. That starts with Smith, right? And that goal is huge, right? Like that's a big time goal at the right time of the game, and the Oilers never looked back, right? That's the kind of thing that Smith brings to the table that nobody else has. I think it was Clefbaum today who says, "I think he makes better passes than I do," right? You know, and so as the Oilers get used to playing that style with him, the breakout's going to be that much better. Everything's going to be that much better. I think that when Smith gets the puck and he looks like he's going to pass, that's when the danger really happens for the other team, which is, they back off because he can burn you, right? With a tape to tape pass, gives your defenseman a little bit longer to make the play. If you could make one change this year, curious, anything in mind that you would make?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. You know what? Tonight, like when people are in their right spots, you've got Person back um, with Clefbaum. I really like Nurse and Bear as a pairing, but having Chris Russell on the third pairing with Benning, I think that's a capable lineup. I'm with you. I liked what Brandon Manning actually brought. He didn't try to do too much. He played physical, and he didn't stick out like a sore thumb. I was okay with him. Um, you know, the it I guess it just goes to the bottom six. We just need to get a little bit more out of there. I'm not pushing. I know some people want to bring up Kyler Yamamoto. I want a new standard with our forwards in the AHL. I want guys to be point of game players down there before for more than 10 game stretch or whatever before they get called up, especially the younger ones. You got to prove that you can do it, and unless you're exceptional. I mean, yeah, you're not going to throw McDavid down on the farm, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of where I'm at. If you're going to do something with there, yeah, maybe you try like Ethan Bear playing the way he has. I think might have you know kind of push the river here a little bit. And when Larson gets close to coming back, I think somebody's expendable on the back end.
Yeah, that to me is the biggest question we have. So if I were to make one change, and you know, curious to hear your thoughts on this, but I would take Clefbaum off the power play and put Ethan Bear back there. Now, the only challenge I have with that, and I suspect that's why Tippett's not doing it. I mean, Ethan Bear is already playing more minutes than any rookie in the league so far, but he's playing, capable minutes. Like he doesn't look lost. Tonight he made a play in the corner where, I was I was just yelling out loud. I'm like, oh wow! Like how does a guy do that? Like he kept the puck on his stick, does a little bit of a turnaround, and then makes the pass out for the breakout. The kid is good with the puck, but I would love to see him on the power play. Now, I mean, he's not just a great passer, but he's got a good shot, right? And I think he's the kind of defenseman that can also quarterback from the back end. And I do suspect that the reason Tippett's not doesn't want to rush him back there, and there's not been any need. The power play is it's looked a little bit stale of late. Is still I think their numbers are still leading the league, and tonight they only got one on the power play, but really the second goal was the second after. So your thoughts? Would you try Bear on that first power play unit?
My only issue with Clefbaum sometimes is it seems like he has a hard time sometimes keeping pucks in
Yeah,
on the blue line.
he is.
Nurse was actually better at that than Clefbaum when he got some time on the first unit power play before. Bear's got a cannon. The thing that you really notice is he has a lot of confidence in his game. He'll delay, and take that extra time, and then just a nice crisp, even just 8-foot, 10-foot passes are money, and they're on the tape, and you're going the other way, and you're out. It's quick outs. I kind of think that maybe him being paired with Nurse makes him feel like he's 10 feet tall and bulletproof too. He's got his big brother out there with him, and
Yeah.
I'm just I don't want to see Bear get crunched, but at some point it's going to happen, and I want to see how Nurse responds to that.
Well,
I
you know what?
think it's
Bear
already
did
happened
get
a little
crunched
bit.
tonight.
I've seen Nurse kind of jump
Yeah.
in for him already, but no, I wouldn't. The power play is rolling right now, so I don't know if you do too much with it, but I wouldn't be opposed to him being out there. It's just another right-handed shot too, so.
Yeah, Bear did get he was in the corner with the puck. Maybe held on to it a little bit longer than he probably should have tonight at one point, and awfully close to a boarding call there. But he got pounced, and you know what? I mean, it's going to happen, right? And especially the way he plays, right? Like he does have that patience tonight. That one during that one play, he got hit pretty good. If you could make a change in terms of personnel, right? So one of the I'm going to take this as a hot take. One of the wonderful folks out there at Copper and Blue, yeah, and I don't follow Copper and Blue, so I can only imagine. Now here's the Copper and Blue tweet of the night. Actually, it's not of the night. This was a couple days ago, but it stuck with me, so I've got it here. If the Oilers didn't blow a ton of money on tweeners with no NHL track record this summer, they could have quite easily rolled the dice on guys like Ho-Sang and Sprong when they were waived, and likely fielded a lineup with more scoring depth for less money. Actually, the tweet doesn't bug me so much. The tweet doesn't bug me so much. What does bug me is there was 40 likes on that tweet and 6 retweets, which is a reasonably popular tweet.
I don't know.
Like, to me, that's like saying, I wish the Oilers went back to the way they used to be, giving up all sorts of goals, not playing a good system. Anybody on here that anybody listening or otherwise that thinks Ho-Sang and Sprang are the answer to our bottom 6-4 scoring, and or I mean, neither of which really play a 200-foot game. There's a reason those guys get waived and nobody picked them up. I don't
Didn't
know.
we learn anything from the Ryan Spooner acquisition?
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I mean, we might as well get Reader back, right? Like, yeah. What do we got here? Stacy says, I assume referring to Bear, he hits the net better than Clefbaum, and yeah, Stacy's right. And also, and if they don't produce down there, don't bring them up. Looking at the Condors, they've had kind of a tough start to the year. I don't know if you, Kelly from Beer League Heroes tonight tweeted out that Marody had a 4 minor penalty night in a 5-0 loss to San Jose. Is there anybody and I'm at a point of in prior years I spent more time watching the Condors. I still have a subscription to AHL TV. I just haven't watched them yet. They've really had a tough go to start the year. I think they're 3 wins. I'm just checking out the standings
Missing
here. Yeah,
Brandon Manning, Mike.
they are missing. They are missing Brandon Manning. It's funny. As goes the hockey team goes up, and the minor league team goes down. It looks like Yamamoto's got 6 points in 9 with 4 goals. Gambardella, but nobody's really killing it down there right now. Gagne was a point a game when he was there. Yeah, I mean maybe he'll be back.
He should have scored the other night if they would have got him the puck earlier. He was right in the slot right at the beginning of the game, and they never got him the puck until he had 2 feet in the crease.
Oh yeah. What's your thoughts on Gagne so far being up? How you feel about him?
Yeah, I mean, it's another capable NHL player anyway. Sam has hands. It's just the foot speed that's the sort of the concern. But I don't know. I don't really worry too much about Sam. But he's not gonna, you're not gonna go to the Stanley Cup final on his shoulders, and you're just a capable player. He's fine.
I admit I've I said it earlier this year. I've got a soft spot for Gagne after that 8-point night against Chicago. Yeah. YEG Oilers fan says Sprong has 2 points in 6 games in the AHL.
Terrific.
Yeah. Clearly, what is it? Copper and Blue? Is that? Yeah. Clearly, Copper and Blue hasn't been paying attention. But just some of the crap that comes out, even when okay, look at this team has got a long ways to go. I think most, rational Oilers fans aren't looking at 9-4-1 and thinking Stanley Cup, right?
No.
I mean,
no, it's too early.
Yeah, way too early. And, there's a lot of holes in the game. And, yeah, they need secondary scoring. It'd be nice. I don't think Nuge is on pace to have another career year in points. But they're doing a lot of things right. And, they're not giving up like all of the chances that they used to give up. It's a rarity in the game now where I'm feeling like the Oilers are underwater, right? You know what I mean? Like, it would just be nice if the secondary scoring or the third and fourth lines could have anything resembling sort of a consistent offensive attack. But even in Detroit, though, I thought that they had 30 shots. I think they keep getting those shots on net, and that kind of thing happens. And when it does, you go from being a 9-4-1 team to 12-4-1 team. If it takes. If it doesn't take, then you middle your way up to the playoffs. We got to be happy as Oilers fans if we can see a playoff game, is my thought, especially with where we thought this team was at the beginning of the year.
Well, things can change, too, over the course of the season. I mean, injuries, I guess, can derail a hot start, too. But
absolutely.
If they're in the hunt, I would expect a little bit of tinkering to be done here. So I wouldn't say this roster is anywhere near a finished product. So
Yeah. So speaking of that, Puljujärvi
right,
is going to be. He's the one guy not wearing an Oilers jersey that has likely been one of the hottest topics in a long time. How many games has he scored a goal in now? It's like 11. Am I right to say he scored in 11 straight or something like that?
I think he's in the neighborhood of a point a game over there. I just that I don't know. I like I said, I think when we did the show before the season there with Lars, I think going over there is almost like career suicide. Like if you don't absolutely tear it up, what does it mean? Like I almost look at it like he's got to have 3 points a game over there to be the equivalent of a point a game almost in the AHL. Like
He just needs to look
it's
good,
not
though,
it's
right?
not that, but it's
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like it's
Yeah, no, but he just needs to look good in my mind, right? Like, here's a guy that is never going to don an Oilers jersey, right? Like, anytime somebody tweets out about it, I think, you know what? Like, from a pride perspective, he's never going to put on an Oilers jersey, right? Like, he said his piece, and I'm fine with that. So, you know what? I wish the kid well. I hope that he does. He scores 3 points a night in Finland, and and I hope somebody says, "Hey, maybe we should take a shot at this guy." My personal take on it is, and I've watched it, and this is controversial. It's whatever however you want to look at it. Is I do think the goals he's scoring are a little bit weak. Like they're not NHL caliber goals. They're the kind of goals that he scored when he was in the NHL, and they just don't happen that often, right? Like it's just not the same league, and that's fine. But if there's a team out there that's willing to take a shot at him, and we can get back a couple of good prospects in return, then I'm all for it, and I hope that they can get it done before December, right? I don't know what the cutoff is. I think it's like early December, right? Before he can't play in the league for the year. Anybody know? You know what the
I
date
think
is?
I think it's something like that. Yeah. I've got a real hot take for you.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Larson and Puljujärvi for Tyler Toffoli, who is a healthy scratch in LA, and then yes, he gets to play with Todd McClellan again. Trolling a little bit, but
Oh yeah,
hey.
yeah, yeah. It's trolling a lot. Actually, I can't. I can only
Who
imagine what
says no?
McClellan would. Yeah, who says no? McClellan says no. That's who. Yeah, and Puljujärvi would
Yeah.
probably turn that one down too. That would be. Well, that would be hilarious, is what that would be. So the Oilers are up against Pittsburgh. That's when's that game? Is that on the weekend or
Saturday.
Saturday? Yeah.
Penguins.
Okay. Uh, Thoughts on that one? I think Smith probably gets the start, or you think Koskinen gets the start? Because we're a little bit off now that we've had Koskinen come in for Smith the other day. It should be, theoretically, I think it should be Smith's start, I guess, if you had, I don't know how you do that.
2-for-2 deal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a matinee game. Are you hopeful on this one?
We haven't been as terrible in matinee games this year, so
Yeah, so I rode up with and to the last game with Vicky Hall, and she is writing for the CBC this year. She's writing hockey. She's doing some Flames and some Oilers articles for CBC Sports, And one of the things she brought up with me on the drive out, which I was, I thought was worth, thinking about, was Eastern teams play matinees all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're really at a loss. Like, we talk about how poor the Oilers are at playing matinee games, but maybe we should be talking about, uh, how good Eastern teams play matinee games because they play them all the time. Like that Florida game, 2 o'clock game, your energy level's just different. I think I actually think it plays against. I'd be curious. I would love to see what the record is of Western teams playing matinee games versus Eastern teams, because my guess is the Oilers aren't the only ones in that case. Do you have any thought on that at all?
My thought on it is that guys are creatures of habit, and that's just out of their you know normal routine. We're not used to it. We don't do it that much. Saturday nights, it's 8 o'clock game if you're on the West Coast, and a 6 o'clock game if you're on the East Coast, because it's Hockey Night in Canada. You know, that's their norm. That's what they're used to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a number of people weighing in. It's December 1st is the cutoff date. Just a couple comments on here. Stacy, does RNH's numbers reflect him not getting acclimated to line mates being shuffled so much? Absolutely, 100%. I think, but that's been Nuge's thing, I think, year after year, right? Has he ever had he's never really had a solid line mate ever. He's if you had like a Ryan Smith replacement, as in like a good soldier for the Oilers, I think Nuge is that guy, right? Like yeah. But yeah, he's you know what? I've got a hard time ever sort of getting down on him. He kind of does whatever you need him to do, and he's always there for the Oilers. But for sure, my feeling is you're 100% correct. He's just not playing with the same line guys. But today he looked great with Jujar. Mike, by the way, just for those listening, didn't actually watch the game. Just
You know
putting
what
that
I
out there.
think is Jujar's game. I think he realizes his back's sort of against the wall, and he's elevated his game. But I think too, you're playing with somebody like Nuge has eyes in the back of his head, sort of Gretzky-like, great passer. So get open, he'll find you and get the puck, put it on net, and simple game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Nuge had a beauty of a pass to Draisaitl tonight for that goal. I think about a second after the power play finished off. But he knew right away where to go. He's just a smart player. Again, Stacy says JP has so much time and space in Europe that he'll never get in the NHL. I think somebody will take a chance on him. He was just too highly touted as a prospect for. I think there was talk or rumor around. I think it was Friedman was talking about the Islanders maybe having some interest in JP. I think he'll get a shot. I was never like, as far as liking a guy and liking the like, just liking the guy's personality and how he is, and he's always had a smile and a tongue sticking out and being able to pick your nose with your tongue. I mean, that's a talent. But it was never. There were a couple times in his time with the Oilers that I thought he really blew me away and was just outstanding. But outside of that, I always hoped for the guy because he was a likable guy. He always had a smile on his face, but. There was a time sort of into that where you just, he never seemed to be going to the hard areas. He just the puck would die on his stick, and he was just a little bit more talented than Lucic, right? Like, it was and shit, I'll probably get in trouble for saying that one, but but
Come on,
I mean,
Calgary Flames fans.
yeah. I mean, it was just here, here. You know what? This is the first. YEG Oilers fan says RNH's line mates have been more consistent this year than last year. Yeah, you know what? He's right. He's had Neil for most of the year, and as a duo, I think tonight, no, Neil didn't play on that line. And I'm fine with Neil just playing on the power play. By the way, if he gets, if he
Save him for that.
yeah, if he racks up 50 goals on the power play, I think that's
Special teams
that's
player.
worth it. Yeah, absolutely. And folks that say otherwise, like, I could give a shit, right? Like, I mean, if the guy scores 50 goals on the power play, that's 50 more goals than anybody scored on the power play, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
They all count.
A YAG Oilers fan got me off target here. I forget now. Damn it. Damn it. I got to get back into this live stream thing. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Elena Constance says he deserves so much better, infinite patience. Talking about Nuge. Yeah, I don't know if he deserves so much better, but he's certainly, like, he's our soldier, right? Like, he's the guy. You can always count on Nuge to be there. I just think he's, one of the more consistent players. A lot of people down on him early this season, but I think they're down on anybody that's not McDavid or Draisaitl.
Right.
Damn, I had something brilliant in my head that I was going to say, and now it's completely gone. So
It'll come back. When we're done.
So it's just a full live stream of nothing brilliant whatsoever.
That's great.
Sorry, the one good thing that I had to say. We're getting close. It's about 10:20. I want to maybe wrap it up in about 5 minutes. What's your thoughts? Maybe give me some last thoughts on the year so far. Anything you want to say? First live stream. We'll do this again soon. No call-ins, but you know what? We don't get a lot of call-ins. So if you want to call in, you got about 5 minutes. 587-907-5483. That's 587-907-5483. Welcome to call in. First live stream of the year. What do you got to say, Mike?
Well, I guess this is the last game of October was today, and I mean, couldn't be more happy with the month. Let's see where they are at the end of November. I think that'll tell you what really we have. 2 months, and you're gonna know what you have. If they're sitting 8 games above 500 come the end of November, we're a playoff team, no doubt about it in my mind.
Yeah, October has been outstanding. The way and this is kind of my final thoughts on and it's fitting to close out the live stream, or do the first live stream at the end of October. For the first time in a long time, there's hope for playoffs for this team. While it's still early, right? Every 2 points they add just gets us closer to getting that sinking or assuring us a playoff spot. And I have been there's a lot of things I've been very happy with this team, and I don't know if it's Tippett, if it's just the players, but the culture seems there this year. For one, I think lots. There's a Lucic comment, and I was just about to maybe discuss Lucic a little bit. You know what? I'm the first guy never to wish a player ill will, because really they're all just folks. They're all just people playing a game, and but Lucic really, in my mind, slowed the team down, right, wherever he was, right? And he didn't just slow it down, but there was a culture around not just the team, but the fan base and everything because of the contract, because of a whole bunch of different things. For a long time, Lucic was getting top line minutes when my suspicion is that a lot of the players in the bottom half of that team were upset with, you know, did he really earn it? And so trading Lucic out, I think, was more important than getting Neil in. Right. While Neil has been a revelation this year with 11 goals in October, just not having that sort of feeling in the on the team that a guy's getting minutes that he's only getting because of a contract, right? I don't think that toughness has been a problem with this team. I think they're doing quite well doing what they're doing. Neil's a guy that's a competitor. He's I love sometimes he'll lay out the big hit and he doesn't slow the play down. He's not there's nothing flashy about him, but you know what, he gets the puck on net and he scores, whether it's on power play or wherever. But really, the big thing for me is, and we saw it that night against Washington, is you've got defense and you've got goaltending that doesn't let in that extra goal. I think that Washington game there was a strong chance it could have ended up, in years past being a 5-2 Washington win versus, a 5-4 Oilers victory. Or was it 4-3? 5-4? Oh, damn. I don't remember now, and I'm not going to look it up. But either way, right, the Oilers come back and they win that.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have that kind of team in the past, and we need to be thankful for that right now, because we've not had this. Whether you don't, there's still lots of improvement that needs to be done, but it's really good to see them making strides in certain areas that they just haven't made in years past, and so I'm pretty happy. The one thing is they were putting up the. You wouldn't have seen this graphic if you didn't watch, but Gretzky had 13 goals in October twice, and Draisaitl had a chance for 13 today, but he's got 12 goals in October, and that's pretty damn good. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think this, lots of things to be excited for this team, but been a hell of an October.
But John Shannon thinks that Matthews is the closest thing to Ovechkin for Rocket Richard this year. So
is that is he
they're
still?
still sleeping on Leon.
He's not. He's still not saying that, is he? Please tell me he's not.
He did yesterday, yeah.
Really? Wait, is there like Twitter proof on it, or? Oh
Yeah,
man!
there is.
Like, I honestly. Oh no.
So guess what that means? Matthew's going to be hurt by the end of the month because John Shannon gave him the kiss of death.
Yeah. Wow, really? I
Mhm.
honestly still think. Well, so I've heard. All right, there it is. Twitter proof. I liked it, and I am now retweeting it. Twitter proof. John Shannon doesn't know who Draisaitl is. I know. Oh man! Wow. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how people can consistently forget. Forget Draisaitl. Like, he scored 50 goals. Anyway, I could spend a whole live stream
Yeah, you could.
on how disrespected this guy was as a 50 goal player. Mike, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments. We will be back. I saw Edmonton Oil Drops on there tonight. He's a guy that I'm going to have on the podcast a number of times. If you got a chance, check out his blog. I always like what he has to say. I don't always agree, but I think he puts together some good arguments. Mike continue up doing the mega thread. It's great. It's good to see it this year as always. Make sure you're watching the games though before you come on, before you get on here live. And then again, February 29th, folks, is the Oilers Live Cup. We're going to be doing a lot of different things this year. Hopefully we can raise a lot of money for Heart and Stroke. We picked it for a reason. There are a couple people on the new committee that I've put together that it means something to. It means something to me actually. I didn't mention it when we did our first meeting, but my father died of heart disease, so that's a big deal as well for me. So Heart and Stroke Foundation, that's where that's going. Stay tuned. Keep subscribing. If you haven't, go subscribe on my YouTube channel, and please do that. DM me or I'll tweet out the YouTube. Follow Mike at Mike Dursa. It's on there, right there on the screen. That's it. That's all. I've got no sponsors. Nobody wants to sponsor me. Mike, you want a sponsor? All right.
Sure.
$5 a year. That's all it takes.
$5 a year. I can probably handle that.
You can be a sponsor for Oilers Live. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Catch up with you soon on the next podcast. Now I got to remember how to end these things. Here we go. End screen coming up.